I am just so humbled by your generosity and your partnership in the gospel. And so I'll share more of that. If you're new to neighborhood church, you're not aware, like we are one of 3 neighborhood churches in Florida that really we function in some ways as a single entity. Most of what you see on a Sunday morning, most of what you see, it's like, no, it's just Ocala, this is just what we do, but there's a superstructure, there's some support. Last year when our air conditioner broke, that was a $30,000 hit that we were not prepared for, but because of the strength of our relationships, it was just there. So neighborhood church as an organization has been helpful to us, but more than just like meeting the needs of crises and things that pop up. Like we've really been praying over the last year about what does it look like to partner together strategically, to see God, to see Jesus, invite our neighbors to meet and follow him across the state of Florida. And so as we've been praying about that for the last year or so, been asking God to give us some imagery, give us some pictures that will help us to communicate, like what is it that God's growing in us. And so I just want to share those with you real quick. We shared this with the ministry partners a couple of months ago, and then you'll hear this again in September. But just want you to be aware of why we are a neighborhood church. What does it look like over the next 10 years to be neighborhood church? What could God be growing in us to do? And so we've kind of called this the Grove Initiative. We took the tree out of our logo and we're like, what if we had more than one tree? So we called it the Grove Initiative, a 10-year vision for church multiplication. So over the next 10 years, so between 2025 and 2035, we want to follow Jesus into our neighborhoods to plow the ground, to sow the seed, and to reap the harvest. So there's 3 different pictures there and 3 different kind of buckets. So when we think about our mission, inviting our neighbors to meet and follow Jesus, we're thinking about 3 different buckets or baskets of ministry over the next 10 years. Plow the ground is a way of talking about leadership development. Sow the seed is a way of talking about church planting. And reap a harvest is a way of talking about evangelism. And so I'll talk about each of those really, really quickly and give you some kind of, whatever, I'll give you some numbers. So plow the ground, this is, I think, the thing that we overlook really quickly. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited that y'all are generous in supporting Momentum, our Momentum offering, is because like if we don't do a good job of training the next generation of church leaders, there won't be a church in the next generation. We are only ever one generation away from the whole thing being shut down. Now it belongs to Jesus. He's going to take care of his body. But if we're not serious about passing the torch to the next generation without training and equipping the next generation of leaders, then it's going to be a problem for us. There are churches, I think, in the United States, I have statistics to back up this kind of scary statement, but there are churches who are going to close over the next 10 years, not because they don't believe the Bible, not because they don't care about the lost, but because they cannot find healthy church leadership to lead them. And so we don't want to be a part of that. So we are, I can't even read that, sorry. We're preparing leaders to take Jesus' presence into the current absence of qualified church leaders. So over the next 10 years, we want to train and unleash 100 new leaders. Now, I mentioned Momentum, and so you might be thinking, oh, great, we're just going to raise up the kids and train them. No. You too are invited into what God's calling you to if he's calling you into leadership. So that's one thing that we're working on for the next 10 years, but that's groundwork. It's not fun to get in the trenches with people and teach them what they don't know and encourage them to lead other people. I'd much rather just worry about myself, right? But the call to lead others is something that Jesus places on us. So call that kind of groundwork, plowing the ground. Then we want to sow the seed, growing a church planting movement that partners broadly across Florida and the Southeast. So we have 3 neighborhood churches today, and it literally is just a church in those 3 neighborhoods. And there's a lot of neighborhoods between here and Sebring. And there's a lot of neighborhoods between Sebring and Lakeland. And so there's a lot of places where the Spirit needs a lighthouse. And so we want to be a part of establishing new churches in neighborhoods. And so over the next 10 years, we want to start 3 brand new churches, which is a lot because 3 is 3 is enough, is enough of a headache as it is. But it's like the thing that God uses is the church. He didn't come up with a plan B. And so I'm just going to trust that he knew what he was talking about and try to partner together with him as we seek to start 3 new churches over the next 10 years. And ultimately, the goal, the thing that maybe we can get the most excited about is reaping a harvest. Want to reap the harvest and start the process all over again in the next season. So between the 3 churches and doing all of this work, we want to see 1,000 people over the next 10 years choose to follow Jesus and be baptized. And so that to me is a crazy number. When I look at this room and think, how is 1,000 people going to happen? But it's just a reminder that we are working together with a team. And I think somebody did the math. And if every person who is currently today on Sunday considering neighborhood church like their home, if every person invited one person and led them to Jesus, we would hit this number like immediately. And so it seems like as big as that number feels to me, it actually is a pretty reasonable thing. Like, could I share my faith with somebody else over the next 10 years? Friends, I'm just going to say, yeah, you probably could do that, right? And so we're just trusting that Jesus is going to be working and preparing the hearts of our neighbors. But there are some things that are going to hold us back. The first, I think, is prayer. And so I've challenged our ministry partners. I've given them kind of a strategy to be praying, and I'll roll this out to the rest of us again in September. But if we don't pray, if Jesus isn't the one who is doing the work, it doesn't matter. If the Lord doesn't build the house, those who labor in vain. So we need to be praying that God would be doing these kinds of things. We're going to need people. The work of the ministry is done. The supernatural work of the ministry is done by normal people's, like, not supernatural hands, right? And so we're going to need people that are willing to volunteer, that are willing to say, I don't know anything, but I'm willing to be trained. I don't know how to do this, but I'd be willing to try. And so we're going to need folks that partner together with us. And we're going to need provision. It's only possible if the church gives generously. Especially as all of the community in Florida is kind of swelling. We have new people moving in all the time. One of the things that is going to be a limit to us is our financial limits. And so just be praying that the Lord would lead you in how you can contribute in that way. And so really grateful to be part of this team, and really grateful for the direction that God's given us as we've asked him. And if you have any questions about this, this won't be the last time we talk about it, but I'd be happy to share with you kind of what God's been doing here and those kind of things. But we do have some other announcements that Ms. Rachel Jewell is going to come and make. So thank you for your attention.